Good morning, everybody. Grand rising. Welcome to the Daily Huddle. I am your host, Dr. Monikah Ogando. Welcome to Spiritual Matters Thursday. I have a quote for you because we're going to be talking about traditions, end of year traditions, holiday traditions, winter traditions, etc. A holiday is an opportunity to journey within by Prabhupada. Now, that sounds kind of counterintuitive because usually a holiday is a time when we exchange, when we network, when we eat a lot, when we do a lot of things. We're going to talk about it today. Welcome to the Daily Huddle. Did you know that air percussion is my favorite instrument to play? You didn't know that, did you, Sorrel? You didn't know that. Listen, if you listen to Easy Lover by Phil Collins and Philip Bailey, you will listen to the most immaculate display of percussion mastery in modern music history. And I know every little beat. If you play that song, you would think that I was playing the drums myself. The reason I bring that up is because we're going to talk about winter and holiday traditions, and I'll loop it around. I'll make it full circle about Easy Lover and percussions. But for now, let's get grounded into what we're going to be doing with each other today. We're going to be talking today, and I'm looking around these beautiful faces, and I want to find out, Stan, how are you, and what are you grateful for?
I am energetic, and I am grateful for the divine supply and this endless supply of energy to us all.
Oh, endless supply. Come on. Okay. Scared of you. I like it. Thank you. Chase, where are you and what time is it?
I am right here in the present, and the time is now.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Andrea, who are you going to hug today?
I think I'm going to do a day of hugging myself.
Hey.
Family is here, but there's been a lot of hugging others. I'm going to hug myself.
That is beautiful. And that's a perfect segue to what we're going to be talking about today. Can we just all, come on, lift up your left hand, lift up your right arm, and just embrace yourself. I love that. Because sometimes we give so much of ourselves to other people. And sometimes we want to find ourselves in other people. And we just need to give ourselves to ourselves. And that's a beautiful gift. So thank you for that reminder, Andrea. That was beautiful. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you today about, and you're going to have to excuse my little like prepubescent teenage boy voice today. It's a little struggling. But that's okay. That's okay. It just makes it interesting. We wanted to talk today about what are your holiday or your winter solstice traditions. Now, some people don't have solstice traditions because they didn't know about any solstice or what the meaning of it is, et cetera, et cetera. But if you look throughout history, human history, for a very, very long time, and I'm not just talking about like a couple of generations, I'm talking about like a couple of millennia, dozens of millennia, we human beings moved our life, our culture, our society, our government, our movements in the world by the movement of the sun and by the movement of astrology. And so with the movement of the sun, if you can imagine a clock, just a circle where the top part is high noon and the low part is, let's say, the darkest part, 6 o'clock in the evening, for example, then at these points, at the equinoxes, then this would be like 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock, right? Well, the winter solstice is when the sun is at its weakest point. And it begins with December 21st, when for 3 days, the sun is quote unquote stationary. And I don't mean stationary like it stands still on its axis. What I mean is that the earth itself is at such an angle that every time that the sun rises and sets, it's at the same position. So for those 3 days, the sun is quote unquote dead. And it is where a lot of messianic traditions, such as Christianity, Judeo-Christian, etc., take this position of the Son of God having been killed and stayed dead for 3 days. It's a solar analogy or a solar parable. So throughout history, human beings have used the movement of the sun to plan, for example, harvests, and to plan festivals around celebrating new life, new birth, and then also just the death and dying and the resurrection and so forth. So in this culture, having been colonized by people who did not have those traditions, we've kind of lost that connection to nature. And if you notice, in most of Western society, the time when nature is at its quietest is when we are at our busiest. So take a look at September 20th to the 23rd, I'll say, is the fall equinox, and the sun begins to kind of weaken in its energy, and the days become shorter and shorter. It is at that time when people are going back to school, when you have Halloween, and then Thanksgiving, and then Christmas, and then New Year's, and then all this flurry of activity, when the sun is going, no, we're going to sit down. Okay, we're going to sit down and we're going to be quiet. So I want to talk to you today about what are some of the traditions that you have had for your winter holidays. Some of them might be religious, some of them may be cultural, some of them may be personal to you, some of them may be unique to your family. I'm curious to find out, because and one of the reasons why I say happy holidays to people is because from the time of October till around January, there are about 33 holidays from different traditions, different religions, different cultures, etc. So it would be, I don't know, I think a little obtuse to think that everybody celebrates the ones that I celebrate. So I just say happy holidays to cover all of them, right? And so I'm curious to find out how you celebrate your holidays. What do you do around this time? Do you take time off? Do you go on vacation? Do you start a fast like I do? Do you sleep more? What are some of the traditions and some of the holiday festivities that you engage in during the holiday or the winter season? I would love to find out. Who wants to share?
Well, Doctor, we in my immediate family, really more just me and my wife, we try to observe Kwanzaa a little more. There was a time when we really did it a lot more than we have done it in the in these more latter years, but we still observe it, and we in fact I think that this year we'll probably really be a little bit more serious about observing and the tenets of Kwanzaa. So
I love that.
There's the 7 principles of Kwanzaa.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Thank you so much. Do you know the 7 principles offhand? Can you name them?
Well, I actually have them right in front of me. My wife.
Come on, bring it.
She can say it. She can say it quick. But the first principle is umoja, which is unity.
Yes.
And the second one is kujichagulia, which is
kujichagulia. That's my favorite.
Yeah, self-determination. The third is
determination.
Third is ujima, which is collective work and responsibility.
Now hold on, slow down a second. So the first one is umoja, which is unity.
Unity.
Maintain the unity in the family and community.
And that's right.
Kujichagulia is kind of like the balance of unity, because while we have this collective thinking, it's also about your individual and your personal responsibility.
That's right. Self-determination, right?
Okay. And then we have ujima, which is collective. Again, we're back to the collective, right?
Right.
Collective work and responsibility.
And then 4 is ujama.
Ujama.
Which is cooperative economics. So that's when you really want to make sure you're spending your money the right places that really empower your community and that kind of thing like that. You want to make sure you do that. That's ujama. Okay. And then that's Number 5 is Nia, which is purpose.
Mm-hmm.
6, Kaumba, creativity. And that's usually when you create you can create a jawadi, which is a gift or something. Gifts you give, you could give a book or whatever, but if you can create something with your own hands and give it as a gift, that's good, because it's showing creativity.
That's perfect.
And then the 7th principle and final principle is Imani, which is faith.
I love that. And beautiful that, yes, it's true that we celebrate, and those Kwanzaa principles are typically celebrated around the end of the year, but what an amazing foundation for the rest of the year, right? To present to those 7 principles. Thank you for sharing, Stan.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Cece, you got something?
Oh, yeah, yes. Thank you so much for those 7 principles. I do the same thing.
You're cutting out a little bit, Cece.
Can you hear me now?
It comes in and out.
Can you hear me now? I'll call again. Thanks.
Oh, did she say she's gonna call back? What did she say?
I'm gonna call back in.
Okay, got it. Awesome. Thanks. Yes. Okay, Giovanni, you're looking over there like Alfred Hitchcock. I want to know what you're thinking. The little shadow, it's like, ooh, inner world.
No, I don't have a comment yet. Thank you for asking me.
Who else has something to share about how you celebrate the holidays, or how you celebrate winter solstice or the end of the year, how you bring it in? Can I just tell you, while we're waiting for somebody to raise their hand, that one of the things that has been really useful for me personally, and then also just as I brought it into my bonus family, my husband and so forth, is the burning bowl. Now, I don't know if you know this, but the month of January was named after a Roman god, Janus, Janus. And the Roman god Janus was, of course, as most Roman and Greek things are, named after an Egyptian god who was the god of time. And so he had 2 faces, one facing towards the past and one facing towards the future. And so what you would do in January is that you would release the year that just passed and welcome in the year that is coming by setting forth like New Year's resolutions and so forth. So that became a tradition that came through from that mythology. And one of the things that I've done in the past has been a burning bowl. So typically what I do is I write down the things that I am releasing, the things that didn't work in this particular year. For example, I'm releasing grief. I'm releasing extra weight. I'm releasing, all these things that you want to leave behind. Maybe character traits of yourself, personality traits from yourself, practices or habits that no longer serve you, maybe even relationships that no longer serve you. So you would write all of that stuff down, and then you would put that in a bowl or some container, some fire safe, please, people, fire safe container, and then you would burn it and watch it burn to the nothingness whence it came. And then I would take a different piece of paper and I would write down all the things that I am welcoming, that I'm ready to receive, that I'm calling in from the new year. So, and I would write it as though they had already happened, right? And so, and we're going to talk about this burning bowl maybe in a future episode, but I would write it down as though the Monikah of December 2023 is writing to the Monikah in December 2022. To let her know all the things that have happened, all the things that she's thankful for, that she's now enjoying, because December 22, Monikah set the intention. And so I save that, I put that letter in an envelope, I seal it, and I open it in June during the summer solstice. So 6 months after the winter solstice, I open that in the summer solstice to see what my progress is. Because sometimes like, ooh, I did remember that I said I was going to do X, Y, and Z, and I haven't done anything about it. So it helps me with the full solar energy of the summer to give some of my goals new energy, and then be able to welcome in those celebrations for the following December. So that's how we're going to talk about the burning bowl in a future episode. Don't worry. Okay, let's see. Who else has got something? Giovanni, you have your hand up now.
So we are kind of discussing the traditions, right?
Yeah.
I was kind of just present on how traditions have evolved.
Yeah.
In my life, I was kind of just present for that for myself, maybe has already mentioned, but one of the things we used to do was carry around a traveling bag around the
block.
Around the block. So we would grab some empty traveling bags, suitcases, and we just run around the block to create, I suppose, energy and intention around traveling. Traveling was, I guess, a big deal.
Yeah.
And then, and so we used to celebrate the birth of Jesus, not Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
Santa Claus was mostly a United States kind of thing, but for us was the birth of Jesus, and he was opened at midnight, and then let the fest begin, and then that was that. And then as an adult, when I get with family, we do write a letter of the things that we want for the next year, and then we burn it. Mm-hmm. to let it be in the air.
Yeah.
To shift the energy. That's fun. And then for me, now something that has evolved, I like to visit people during the holidays because I don't know in what emotional state they are.
Right.
So I just want to listen. And so I just want to visit and listen. And whatever they say works for me.
Yeah.
So that's something that I personally do, not with family.
Okay. I love that. I love that you make a practice of creating space for people and just witnessing them. And you've heard me say this, Giovanni, just on a personal level, that I think one of the greatest gifts that one human being can give another is the gift of being witnessed. I love that you do that around the holiday season. That's beautiful.
Yeah, for some people, holidays are really difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. Yeah. All right. Who else has something? Yes, Andrea.
So I'm feeling awfully Colombian this year. I don't know why. And Giovanni triggered all the things that we used to do. And I did some of them a year here and a year there, but I really want to do, culturally speaking, we have a bunch of things that are funny and crazy, and they're just fun. For example, we eat 12 grapes at midnight. For every time you eat one grape and you wish, and you just have a wish. So 12 grapes at midnight, that's one thing to do. Wear yellow underwear, and it has to be new. That's going to bring a bunch of happiness and love. Don't tell me why it's yellow, but it has to be yellow underwear. So take a note on that one. Put lentils, dry lentils in your pockets. That's going to bring abundance and full of a bountiful life. That's kind of the thinking of it. So I want to do that one too. The one that Gio mentioned, which is the running around the block with an empty suitcase, is funny because you see people running and everyone is screaming and you have to run because it's at midnight while you're eating the grapes and you have lentils in your pockets. It's just funny. And when you go around the block, you must have cash in your hand. So you're going to have a bunch of cash the rest of the year. And what is the other one? Cleaning the house at the 31st is super important. So you can start the year with a clean house, welcoming a bunch of new things. And one of my favorite ones is burning how do you translate this? The old year doll. It could be a big one or a little one. You just have a doll and you call it Año Viejo, and then you burn it. And then you just let the year go and you burn it with all the beautiful things and the sad things. And then you start the year with a new one. So I think I'm going to try to do a bunch of those this year.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love how all the elements are represented. Earth is represented in the sea,
yes,
in the dirt, the water, the
and
air
I think that there is, and I think, and Gio can correct me, but I think in some parts in Colombia where you're close to a river, people actually at midnight go and take a bath in the river because it's cleaning. So it's a bunch of, bringing back to earth. So I'm going to try to do as many as I can this year to bring my Colombian spirit back.
Yes. Sounds fun. Who else has something? I see somebody else's hands up, but I don't know who that is.
It's me. It's CC.
Oh,
Hi.
CC, you're back. Okay.
Yes. I really don't celebrate Christmas anymore as buying gifts, but I do celebrate Kwanzaa, and I do go to church, and I also straighten up the house, clean out, get rid of everything that doesn't belong. And I pray more, and I do consecrate myself by fasting sometime in the month of December, fast and pray together, and look for some good things to do for other people instead of focusing on the marketing part of the holidays. So I don't really buy a lot of gifts. I actually start sowing more into church and sowing more into things that multiply and help other people. So
beautiful.
Thank you.
All right. I love that. And I love the deliberateness, right? Like the thoughtfulness that goes into it. I think sometimes when we're little, obviously we have very little control about what we do. It's just whatever the family is doing. But then as we grow older and we learn more and we discover more, then it's like, oh, okay, I get to choose some of these things. Some of these things are just you continuing a particular tradition, and some of them are of your deliberate selection. And I love that you've all presenced that here. Chase, you got something too?
Hey, those are great, and I love all those that Andrea said. I'm writing down everything. I'm such a note taker.
Yeah, Chase is like, I got lentils. I'm
such a note taker. Like I have so much. Yeah, for real. Something that I do at the beginning of the year, and it's funny because I haven't done it in a few years. I've been very distracted by a lot of things. It's amazing, but something that I'm going to do, and I'm 100% going to do it this year, is on the first of the year, make a list of all the tools that you have to create abundance. So the reason why I started doing this is because I was researching some different artists and some personal development people, as I do almost every day, actually. But I came across this one where they were talking about tools and how we forget what tools we have. Right? So me as an artist, when I say tools, I mean my cameras, my tools that I use to make my jewelry, my instruments, my paints, anything that I have that's a tool that can create abundance going in the direction of what I'm passionate about. The last list I made was like 60 things. And what happens is that, and I know you know this, but when we are speaking about abundance, or when we want to go further, the fact that we think about it is good and great, but once we think about it and then we put it on paper, our mind sees the thing, so it goes like in a circular motion. So from here to here to here, and then back again, right? Yeah. And I learned that a long time ago. So once I wrote those tools, I was like, wow, I totally forgot about this. And at the time, I had a whole room in this 3-bedroom apartment that I lived in Park Slope. Like it was just literally, it was a room of stuff. And I went and took the stuff that I whatever, and I did it, and I wrote it down, and it changed the trajectory of the next 6 months, because it was like you were telling yourself, now, what's your excuse? Why you haven't even used this? You haven't even used this. You haven't even used this. Yeah. And it really opened up a whole thing. I knew I had those things. It just, I was forcing myself to, it's like when someone says, now, what are you grateful for? You're grateful for a lot of things, but when they ask you, you're like, I'm grateful for my mama, I'm grateful for my brother, I'm grateful for my car, and it starts to come out. Yeah. So I implore anyone who is a little bit stuck right now to list your tools. Because I'm an artist, I have tangible tools as well as spiritual tools, but everyone has tools. What are your tools? If you write them down, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at what stuff you can do, from speaking to writing to painting, whatever it is. I think it's a great thing.
That is awesome. Something that you said, Chase, reminds me of when I deal with my entrepreneurial clients that I coach. A lot of times people just buy a lot of programs and it kind of like becomes shelf help, right? Right. And so we've developed a spreadsheet, and you guys on the audience, let me know if you want it. I'm happy to make it available to you. But we've developed a spreadsheet that writes down all the things you put in all the courses that you've bought, all the books you've bought, all the conferences you've attended, how much they cost you and how much time you spent on them, and then what you did or haven't done as a result of that investment. And we call it the RARE factor. And the RARE stands for return as a result of execution.
Oh, rare. I got to give it that. I got to give it that.
Because it's rare, right? Sometimes we just buy so much stuff and it's like, wait, what did I do? And like, it just totally reminded me of that.
Say that again. Say the rare thing again.
It's a return as a result of execution. Rare.
Boy, that's some serious exposing stuff right there.
So shoot me a DM. I'm happy to send it over to you guys if you want.
Oh, I want that for sure. You can put me on the list now.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing, Chase. That was awesome. Rashida, you've got something?
Good morning, Daily Huddle. It's funny because I'm listening to Gio, I'm listening to Andrea, and I am listening to Mastermind Stan, Stan the Man, and it's so similar. But I went back when I hear you started the presentation to my grandparents. Mm-hmm. My grandparents, they are Indian. God bless them, and they are my ancestors. And trust me, I used to see that they started from the end of September, accumulating stuff, crops, and there was farmers.
Yes.
So, and I remember my grandpa, we call him Grandpapa, used to do fire ritual, lots of fire ritual, and I used to just dislike them because they would choke me to death. But it's the meaning behind that. It's what we was lack of. But it's funny because I would say I have like 7 years since I moved up to the mountain in Pennsylvania mountain. Mm-hmm. And every year, this year I did not do one, but every year for my birthday, I do a fire ritual that is in October. And it's one of those things that I bring some Indian people from India. They live in New York, but they come up to the country and they do a fire ritual. But the fire ritual came into the old concept of what passed on down to me from my ancestors, from my Indian ancestors. And I remember when they used to do the fire ritual for the changing of year and the change of season, they used to have everyone have orange. We suck on the orange and we count the seed of the orange. But at the time, we used to find orange with seed because they used to grow them on the farm. But the ritual that they used to perform was so intense. And some of them, the kids, them could not be there. So it's a whole lot of richness that I can compare Gio and Andrea that, we as Spanish speaking people, we have a lot of ritual that is passed down. I'm from Costa Rica, they are from Colombia, and I see that they have similarity. I remember my grandparents used to love to have you bathe in milk for the earth, for the end of the year. Yeah. It's amazing how we are so comparable. It's so similar.
Yes,
so I really like this. I really love this to enrich me back with my ancestors passing down to us. It's amazing.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Monikah. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you everybody for sharing your traditions and your intentions as well. This is juicy. I'm telling you, we're walking away with like a list, right? Thank you, Andrea, for all the examples that you gave. I love that you're feeling Colombian, because I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that we used to do the thing with the grapes too, like in Dominican Republic, right? My country. So there's so many similarities in our cultures and I love to see the thread of the collective, just like Stan was talking about with the Kwanzaa principles. There's this collective consciousness that we are operating out of. And it's lovely to presence those principles during the holidays, but it's even more impactful to live them as the foundation for your life. So thank you so much for being here. And speaking of principles, remember the 7+1 principles that we espouse here in the Daily Huddle. Love generously, laugh ostentatiously. I want you to like cackle today. Make it a point to like laugh obnoxiously, like cackle or something, where people turn around like, well, first of all, what was funny? And secondly, What kind of laugh is that? I want you to do that. Stretch yourself. I want you to sleep more than 7 hours. Get some sleep. Also, eat more plant-based food. Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I want you to also, in terms of, so we talked about loving and laughing and being generous with your time, give of yourself, give of your talent, give of your attention. Just like we said before, one of the greatest gifts that a human being can give another is to witness them. Yeah. And then, of course, my favorite one, we all know what it is. Audit your assumptions. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. And I think sometimes when we say check yourself before you wreck yourself, if you don't get the context of that cultural aphorism, then you don't know what we're talking about. So I always say audit your assumptions. Check your assumptions. What is the given that you're operating from? What are you assuming to be true such that this would be your conclusion? Because when you audit your assumptions, then you can interrupt whatever negative thinking you may be enthralled in that you didn't even know you were doing. Thank you so much, Daily Huddle family. We love you. See you next time.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
Bye.